Hi, Philip. So for research question 3, almost at the end of the results section here, you're focusing on macro themes, interpreting praxis in the virtual environment, obsolescence and future trends. Now that's interesting because I didn't see that. I just went over your discussion. I didn't see the obsolescence lessons, but maybe that's in the next section. So, okay. So you're doing this. These macro themes are used to organize the qualitative data. You give a nice presentation and you give the questions. Now, I don't. I think if it's the praxis thing, this should say IVR praxis in the virtual classroom. So we should change that. The second thing is, yeah, I see. Yeah. Um, What have we got here? Okay, sorry. So I'll take that back. Just delete this particular paragraph. You have had the habit of kind of giving these introductions. This is an introduction to the first theme. This is an introduction to the second theme. And then here's the first theme. And then there's 5 pages. Everybody's going to forget about this introduction here. So that actually should just go with the second theme. But I think you always introduce these pretty well. However, in this case, in this theme, data describe the overall reflections are emphasized. Learning describe the role of IVR in the classroom in its own right, or conversely, as a supplementary. See, I'm not sure what this own right thing is, but what you should hear then say is key sub-themes to organize these things, because it just seems like these paragraphs are coming out of nowhere. So this one's focusing on deeper understanding. I think it needs to be expanded a little bit because I'm not quite sure what you're trying to get at there. And then this one's talking about initial orientation. So that's the second theme. This one's talking about personal feelings. This one's talking about metacognitive practice. That paragraph. It's a good paragraph, by the way. This one is also talking about reflection, which I'm not sure I'm not sure that's what you want to say, because it looks like you're talking about the transition between virtual and physical spaces. Then you make a point about the intensity of language, but you oh, I see. Yeah, this is actually a comment. It's not a result. There's no evidence here. Uh, I guess you're trying to say here, maybe it's not a new paragraph, so that might be the intensity of language immersions described. Their effective response suggests a real. Okay, so then that's okay. As soon as you make an interpretation, that becomes a discussion point. So you don't. Um, Unless you say that it should be noted that the language, you could say the language is intense, using words like shock, unreal, and that. But don't give an interpretation. Just say that's the facts, right? Because you're not interpreting things in the results. Otherwise, it gets a bit messy, right? Because what's the discussion about? And people are going to go to the discussion for the discussion, not the results. The results usually involve presenting data. So I think the fifth thing I was at was flow, which is quite. And then we're back to personalization here, which was, if we go back here, as I recall, uh, quantifying personal feelings. I'm not even sure that's like this one quote. It seems isolated. So anyway, I'm not sure how that feels, but you might be able to introduce it into the personalization as a sort of an ending point. And this is the avatar stuff, right? So personalization and avatars, I think that's what you want to maybe label it. And then yeah, so you want to make those points up here and saying key sub themes are here, achieving a deeper understanding, blah blah blah, and then each of these paragraphs talks about those. I think that's definitely the way to go. And then finally here, again, you can use it in your discussion, but sorry, it's taking me a while to scroll down here. Here, this comment adds additional complexity to understanding the intersection between personalization with the avatars and the broader praxis. So that's you interpreting this. Specifically, practitioners will need to be aware of the various types of avatars. But that's advice. That's educational advice. It's not a result. And then centering praxis and the immersion, for example, other benefits. And then you talk about these benefits which aren't really data. So yeah, that definitely is not dated. And then you have, in summary, the insights including, you do talk about regarding debriefing strategies, flow, personalization. These aren't quite the same, but you should have this in the beginning paragraph and then included in here, including all your key themes. Help contextualize immersion's voices into the analysis and discourse and practice. Especially these are important for understanding how. Okay, that is okay. Again, that's you giving an interpretation. So I'm not even sure that you need the summary at all. Really, you just presented it. So, and then this theme, uh, you don't need to do the also. Includes data from reflective response, focus groups, interviews. These data provide insight into how immersions conceptualize the future of IVR and education as a whole, trends that might spur, and then so I'm assuming that these three things are going to be discussed.